A little bit of a disclaimer before I really go into this book. I did not enjoy it. Do they know high schoolers? Have they been to a high school? Are they ever a high schooler? It's something I still don't understand. It's such a strange choice. Okay, but you know, to each their own. So, infuriating. No one's high school experience is like this, I swear. Very confused. It's a new setup today, so we'll see how that goes. I got some new blue light glasses. I also took significantly better notes this time for this video. I have almost 7 pages for a less than 400 page book, so I learned from my mistakes with Crescent City. So it's a cloudy day, and my friend called me right before I started filming this, so I'm worried that I missed the good light, but I'm just gonna keep filming. So if there's suddenly cuts where it's less lit and more lit and unequal, it's the clouds, and I sometimes have to cut things so I make more sense. It's a thing. Let me start at the beginning. It all started during book club this week. We were looking for other books to read. As we were doing that, I came across this book, Forever Mine, which is the first book in the Marino Brothers series, written by Elizabeth Reyes. The cover is what really sold us. Hannah just kept looking at it going, there's 3 fonts for 4 words. Like, it looks like a meme. This doesn't look like a real book cover. And they did eventually update it. The one that I have downloaded has the updated cover, and it was a good choice for them. So this was published September 6th, 2010. It has 335 pages, so that's, a fairly quick read for me. So I found it on Amazon, and it was free to download for Kindle, so I clicked the fucking button. I did it. I downloaded it. So I downloaded it, and Kelly and Hannah said that they wanted me to read it, and I do what the fans want, so I started reading it. Friday night is when I started it. I read through the first 10%, so this was my before and after reading that. So it's about midnight. I've got Princess Bride playing, and I'm gonna start this book, I guess. I started my notes page, and I'm expecting it to be a short read. I just kind of want to prepare myself for what it's going to be. I'm going to be kind of busy tomorrow, but I just want to know what to brace myself for. So I'm going to start. We'll see how it goes. Okay, I'm about 30 pages in, which my iPad estimates to be about 10% through. Taking a lot more notes than I did during Crescent City. I've learned my lesson. It's different. It's weird. It's like, I don't know how to feel about it yet. But it's weird. We'll see what happens. Here's kind of an overview of the style. You have third-person point of view, which switches between the main girl and then the main guy. The 2 main characters are Angel, he's the guy, and the girl is Sarah. So when it starts, you're at Sarah's perspective, you're finding out she's on the phone, her mom's pleading guilty, is going to jail for 3 years. So she has to move in with her aunt because her mom will not let her move in with her best friend and his family, even though they continuously offer it because she's like family to them as well. Her best friend's name is Sydney, and he's the one there with her when she gets this news. You find out all through the book just how close they are. They really mean so much to each other, and their friendship is so cute. I did really enjoy that. Because she won't let her move in with Sydney and his family, she has to move in with her aunt. She's from Arizona, her aunt is in California, it's about a 5-hour drive, so she's switching school districts for her senior year of high school, and she's not looking forward to it, but she moves in with her aunt and her cousin, Valerie. I don't think we ever see the aunt in the book, But Valerie and her, their relationship really grows throughout this, and I was very happy with the Sarah-Valerie relationship. Chapter 1, and it's 1 month later. So, a little bit of a disclaimer before I really go into this book. I did not enjoy it. But, that being said, it's my own personal opinion, and if other people enjoy it, that's fine. You do you. I think a lot of why I didn't enjoy it is because it was just romance, and it didn't really feel like it had much of a plot at that for being romance. I've read other romance books, but obviously I usually do more fantasy, etc. genres, as seen by my adamant love of Sarah J. Maas. So, there's definitely some bias to it. Romance is usually a subplot or not the main focus in those books. Tiger's Curse, it is a little more of the focus, but you've still got a ton of paranormal and fantasy going around it. So you have a lot of more stuff that you can do with it. And I felt like this was just... it was just there, and there wasn't really a plot. Like, I wish I could tell you there was a huge plot, but plot is girl likes boy, boy likes girl, boy super territorial. Like I said, I may just be biased, so I want everybody to know it comes with a grain of salt. But that being said, not a good time. Not a good time for me. It's ranked, I think, 3.9 stars. But to be fair, I did get into it at certain points. I counted 3 times. I wrote each time down. 3, maybe 4 times that I actually gave an audible gasp. So I wasn't unable to get into the book. I did have some response to it. I'm usually much more vocal when I read. I was not obviously super into it because it sucked, but to each their own. So, the weird thing was you meet love interest on page 3, and the horrible thing about that choice is you don't have time to get to know the world and the character themselves. Like, even Twilight, which is trash, but you get like who Bella is, what her background is, what the school is like, what the town is like. You get to kind of understand the normal side, and then you get the, oh, that's the Cullens. They're weird and super hot. And this was on page 3. You see Angel Marino across from us. By the way, all that I could think of was Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So my entire thought this whole time was just like a young Angel from Buffy, but make him Spanish. So you meet him, page 3. The smile on his face seemed to dissolve slowly. She stood there, frozen, her lips slightly opened. For a moment, she thought he might say something, and then obviously he doesn't. So, whatever. And then on the next page it's, Sarah, do you know who was staring at you? Surprised and not sure why, Sarah pretended to not understand. Who? Valerie gasped. That was Angel Marino. Don't you remember? I've told you about him and his brothers. And that's it. It's like, okay, so what's so special about this guy? I haven't heard about him. I don't know why he's better than anybody else. I have nothing to compare him to. So by page 4, it's 2 weeks after that, and it's from Angel's point of view. You meet this girl, Dana, who kind of becomes an issue throughout the book. They kind of hooked up, they kind of saw each other, they really did hook up, they slept together at least a few times that it's mentioned, but they aren't dating. She just flirts with them constantly, she's a cheerleader, he's a football player. And then on page 7 is where Angel and Sarah actually meet. They bump into each other, and he makes a fool of himself, she makes a fool of herself. So you hear Sarah's plan as you're going through her point of view. She does not want to stay in California. Her life is back in Arizona, and that's where she wanted to graduate. So her plan is, I'm going to move here, I'm going to hang out with these people for a semester, and when I turn 18 on January 1st, I'm heading back home to Arizona. And she wants to save up money so that she can pay Sydney and his family something as a form of rent, even though they don't request it, but she would feel better about it. She's trying to save up money by babysitting, and she says she's just moved in and already has almost every weekend booked and the nights booked for babysitting. Now I know it's, what did I say, 2010? Yeah, this is 2010, so it was a different time, but what person moves into a new town and immediately gets booked every weekend for babysitting? A little suspicious. A lot of things in this book had me saying, do they know high schoolers? Have they been to a high school? Are they ever a high schooler? So the only thing I think they got on right was possessiveness. And besides that, I was very confused for most of their choices with their high school characters. As she's kind of doing her own thing, I think she was going for a run, at the high school, which also weird. Who does that? Nobody runs at their high school to just hang out. Anyway, this guy Jesse, who 2 years ago when she came to visit her cousin, she had hooked up with, they didn't have sex, they just like made out at a beach. And then she said, go away. And he was like, you're such a tease, you know, like asshole guys. So Jesse comes up to her and pins her. And Angel comes up, shoves him off and is like, is there a problem here? And I was like, dude, yes. I'll respect that. Thanks, Angel. Then they go to a party. Angel invites her to an after football game party, and she decides to go because Valerie's like, oh, you'll have fun, blah, blah, blah. So they go to this party. They have a DD and everything, which is weird for high schoolers to think that far in advance. And then you see Valerie there and Sarah, and they both have their own coolers because they like to always have chilled alcohol. And Sarah only drinks chilled wine, the good stuff. What kind of a 17-year-old is this? Another section where I was like, high schoolers don't think like that. This is what, from Angel's point of view. Angel could see she was lightheaded from the wine. She seemed so small and delicate and incredibly vulnerable. Listen, high school boys in chat, if you want to disagree with me and tell me that you've been a high school boy and you've thought like that, please do. I would love to hear that. Valerie's wandered off, she's alone, and Angel's like, I'm not leaving you alone at this party. And for that, I respect him. There's quite a few times that Angel does things that I was like, dude, yeah, way to stand up for her. Way to step in for your sister. He's got 2 older brothers, 1 younger sister. All 3 of the brothers super possessive of this poor little sister. It goes too far all the time. It's not just him protecting her, it's him being possessive as hell most of the time, which is infuriating. Then they leave together. He goes out, they find Valerie, she says, I'm going to a party, blah, blah, blah. So he takes her to the beach, and the 2 of them hang out. And he's like, who's Jesse? How do you know him? And then he says, can I kiss you? Which is super cute to ask. I loved that choice. And then you have him hanging out with his friends later on, and they're talking about, did you score? And he's like, no, it's not like that. I genuinely like this girl. Which is cute. And then this line is said, how was I looking at her? Angel frowned. Like you wanted to swallow her up, that's how. Hey, what kind of high school guy says that to his friend? Guys in chat? Let me know. I don't understand why these high schoolers talk like this. Then you have Valerie finding out that things are getting more serious between Sarah and Angel. And she's like, hey, I know you're best friends with Sydney. I know he means a lot to you. Angel's not going to get it. You've got to cut Sydney out of your life because Angel's territorial. And so you're going to have to. But she doesn't. And when she first brings up Sydney, Angel assumes it's a girl. And she doesn't correct him for months. That's the plot. The plot is her being worried about, is he going to find out that Sydney's a guy and that I have a guy best friend that I love and miss terribly. Angel finally asks her out officially, and they begin going out. Well, they kind of call it an agreement, but it's them going out. And then on their date, Angel says, I think there's no such thing as a guy and a girl being friends. I think there's no way. There's always got to be something underlined there. Which is weird, and that's kind of when she decides, I'm not going to correct him. He thinks Sydney's a girl, and I'm just going to let that go. Which was a bad choice. Pro for this book, there is good sibling writing. Sal's the oldest, Alex, Angel, Sophia's the youngest sister. This writer has a strange love for A and S names. Between, you got Sid, Sarah, Sal, Sophia, Salvador, and then, well, I guess it's just Angel and Alex. Okay, never mind. Oh, so the sibling writing, I think, like, the banter between them, that was great. She did a great job writing that, at least. That was the things that I would enjoy the most. When it's a romance book, I should be enjoying other things more. I just have a note here, this dumbass. And the rest of it's talking about, he's pissed that she has a locker next to a boy and tries to get her to take his locker at school. They've known each other and been dating for 3 days. And he's like, I don't want you to have a locker by this guy. Use my locker. This dumbass. Don't let somebody else put stuff in your locker, first of all. Second of all, you are really so worried that she's going to be swept off her feet by the guy with a locker next to her. Pal. There's so many other problems you have there. You're fine. Calm the frick down. Oh my gosh. Okay. The end of that note says, shut the fuck up. So, Angel's sister, Sophia, is on track and tries convincing Sarah to join track, when she finds out that she runs. So she goes and she meets the coach and they shake hands, and Angel gets pissed about it. And I want to be like, dude, buddy, pal, shut up, you're fine. It's a coach. They can shake hands. Also, it was just a handshake. You kind of find out throughout the book that this coach has a little bit of a perv side. Everybody says he's like 23 and fresh out of college, but he always flirts with these girls who are 18 and legal or just out of high school. So there's a lot of rumors that go around, but nobody really knows how true those rumors are. So for that regard, it was fair for him to be like, I'm uncomfortable because I hear a lot of bad things about this guy and he could have really horrible intentions for you. But also it's like, buddy pal, it was a handshake with her coach. It's fine. There's a note. She likes how protective he is. Like, she enjoys it. She enjoys that. And I think that speaks more to kind of the high school culture. I think that's the only thing she got right, but it's the worst part of high school relationship culture. And that's so fucking sad. Like, make better role models for high school students, you know? They don't need more examples of how unhealthy relationships can be. Okay, then you have their first almost sex scene. She's described a couple of makeouts at this point and it's been fine, but I was sitting there reading this and I was like, I'm uncomfortable. And I've read a lot of things in books and I'm usually like, oh, this is a nice passionate moment between these people. I'm glad they're having this, etc., etc. But this really made me uncomfortable because the style of writing, I was like, I don't want to be here with these high schoolers. This is weird. And things were just described so strange. I don't even want to... It was just weird. So she comes, she gives him a hand job, he comes, and you find out she did it just to get back at Dana to like prove, yeah, I'm better than her, because Dana was wearing his jersey at the game because he lent it to her last year. And it's like, dude, that's a bad reason. She starts talking about how she kind of regrets it, kind of doesn't. It's like, you should be doing things you're more confident and comfortable with. You don't have to do that to prove that you're better than this ex that he used to hook up with, but whatever. Also, Dana's such a dumb name. Also a weird high school name. It's just more protective ass bullshit throughout the rest of this. You see this girl talking to Angel, and Sarah describes it as he's too nice for her to stomach. Like watching him just be civil to another girl. Girl, grow the fuck up. It's fine. If he likes you, he likes you. You shouldn't be worried about him talking to a girl in the cafeteria, wherever it was. You meet Angel's parents, and that physical describer, that's kind of how it is this whole time with how she describes people. Okay. This is how they describe the mom. His mother, Isabel, was an average height, slender woman in her mid-40s. Sarah could see Angel and his siblings had gotten some of their most attractive features from her. She had big eyes and thick lashes. Her lips were big and pouty, and when she smiled, she had the same dimples Angel and Alex had. Sophia had them also, just not as pronounced. Then you have his dad, Salvador, was also in his mid-40s and very tall with broad shoulders. He was built very well for a man his age. He didn't talk nearly as much as Angel's mother did, saying only that he was glad to meet them, and then quickly excusing himself to get back to work. He was a no-nonsense kind of man. It's such low descriptions to go on for most of these characters that I was just thinking of my own things most of the time. Then she almost breaks up with him because of Dana and how Dana's like trying to make a scene in all of this. And he says, trust me, baby, if Dana's gonna cost me being with you, she's gone. Just like that. I'll make sure of it. That's a little suspicious. You gonna kill her, Angel? Like, and then Valerie at this time has started hooking up with his older brother Alex, who she's had a crush on for years and years apparently. And she comes home, asks if she's seen Angel's dick, and then says, I'm on my knees gagging on his massiveness. Who says that? Who actually says that? Okay, actually, I know a couple girls who would say that. It's weird, though. I feel like this is not how high schoolers talk. Okay. Also, she makes a comment, then Sarah makes a comment like, yeah, he's pretty big. Why was that not described in our blowjob scene? I feel like that's something that should be described. Anyway, it's fine. It doesn't matter. There's no physical descriptions ever in this book. Oh, I have a note from that page. I hate reading this. Great. So then you see Angel go and confront Dana and be like, hey, stop wearing my jersey, stop doing this and that. I know you're just trying to bother me because I have a girlfriend now. Go away. And says to himself, that's the end of it, pretty much, the end of his problems. And then Dana comes up to him after practice and is like, we made love, blah, blah, blah. He was like, no, I just had sex with you. It was cold and I didn't care about any of it. And Then she cries and leaves, and she's like, you made me fall in love with you. And both of his friends are like, you should really tell Sarah about this, bro, before she hears about it from somebody else. And you're like, oh, are we gonna have some drama? A little bit of something to knock us around, because we're over 100 pages in and nothing's happened. No, she's just like, okay, well, you took care of it. So, I mean, you said, so everything's fine. And that's it. Nothing happens. Then you find out that Angel's sister Sophia, he calls her Sophie, has a crush on his friend Eric. And she tells Sarah what I would have loved to happen, what should have happened in my opinion, is for them to become friends over this and to have like this secret that they share and they giggle and they swap gossip and they support each other. But what happened is Sarah starts sweating anytime she brings this up, literally sweating and getting hot and gets nervous because she's like, I can't keep these things a secret from Angel. He'll be upset with me and he's going to be upset with Sophie, and this is so bad. This is going to be so bad. And it's like, man, they could have really had something here. And we didn't do that. We just made it more about how overprotective Angel is, and we missed a part of the, like, what could have been a good plot, and if it was real life, what could have been a good relationship, and that's disappointing. You find out Sydney's in a car accident. There's a bit where Angel almost realizes Sydney's a boy, but doesn't. Like, yet again, we could have had something. Sid could have been really hurt. We could have had something, but no, Sid's fine. We're not going to go visit him because he's a him, and we don't want Angel to know. And yet again, it was just like a couple of pages where you're like, oh, no, nothing happened. There's still no plot change here. So you find out Sarah, she's like, I want to have sex now. Before Angel decides, like, for sure, we're going to have sex, he describes his oldest brother Sal's sex talk with him, and it is, mwah, 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 chef's kiss. Just, you know, because we hit all the major things, like consent and protection. Okay, so my camera died while I was filming that, just as I got to the not sex scene, because it's not in there. And then it started raining, so I've lost almost all of my natural light now. Now I'm back. Okay, so they're gearing up to have sex for the first time. Angel brings Sarah to the family restaurant, and they go to the break room because there's a bed there. Questions, many questions. And he gives her some wine, and he has a beer to unwind. And that's weird to me because, again, they're 17. They have sex. It does cut out. Thank God, because I did not, after the blowjob scene, I didn't want to sit through it. Actually, it was just a hand job. After the hand job scene, I didn't want to sit through anything else. So thank you for cutting that one out. He asks to stay together after she leaves to go back to Arizona at semester. He gives her a charm bracelet. He does put on a condom, and then there's the scene. I have a note here, where is the plot, in all caps, because as you can tell, there hasn't been one this whole time. Angel's two buds, Eric and Romero. Sophia has this crush on Eric. He reciprocates it. Romero walks in on them. But again, nothing really happens. Then you have Angel's birthday party at the bowling alley. I don't know what high school these kids go to. I don't know what high school this author went to. We obviously had very different experiences because mine wasn't like this, but they invite, like, apparently everybody to the bowling alley. There's guys from the football team. There's people from the track team. There's just everybody there. Everybody snuck in beer and alcohol because they're all underage. And then a fight breaks out. And so management's trying to get them out, but there's all these teenagers and they're trying to find the girls and they find them outside. No one's high school experience is like this, I swear. And then Sydney shows up to surprise her. This is plot. This is the biggest plot that we had this whole time, arguably. Sydney shows up. This is the day that she's decided, okay, I'm going to definitely tell Angel Sydney's a boy. We've been dating for like 4 months now. I'm going to let him know. So her cousin Valerie's like, we're going to get you all sexy and dressed up. She's in a little black dress. She's done her hair and makeup. And Sydney shows up and she just hugs him and cries. And they go out and talk and they go to a little diner. And Dana calls and is like, hey, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened between you. She calls Angel, obviously. And is trying to, like, insinuate these things. He's like, the fuck are you talking about? Okay, great. And then his buddies call him and they're like, dude, we saw her with a guy at the beach together and now they're at a cafe. So he comes out. He comes brawling into this cafe, sees them holding hands, you know, they're like touching hands across the... This is the table. And their hands are up here like this. And he freaks out. He leaves and he's like crying. He's like, oh, so you've always had a boyfriend back home. You're in love with him. This is why you never dressed like that for me, blah, blah, blah. And they break up. So that's like a week before the end of the semester anyway. And so she leaves. But this is like the reason why Sydney drove 5 hours was to tell her he has a secret girlfriend he hasn't been telling Sarah about because she had all this stuff going on and he didn't want to put too much on her. And then to say that he chose a college with this girl and he doesn't want her to come home to him because Angel makes her happy. That's so weird. That's so weird. So then 2 days later, he's been ignoring her. She finds out he goes out to lunch with Dana, but really it's just to grab coffee and be like, what exactly did you see? Was she cheating on me? And then he fucks off. She comes by to just say, hey, I'm leaving. Actually, I think she calls him and is like, hey, I'm going back. And he's like, okay, I don't give a fuck. So the first time I made any type of noise to this book was when I found out when Valerie says he's going out to lunch with Dana, and I out loud went, oof. And then the second time was when Sid drives back, doesn't tell Sarah about this, drives back to see Angel, and is like, you need to hear her out. And I was like, dude, way to go, Sid. And Angel's pretty much like, get the fuck out of my face. So that was disappointing. Well, camera died, so we'll have to wait.